What is good, MexitPlanners? It's been 3 years, y'all, since we boarded a plane to our new lives in Merida, Mexico. We've been very blessed living here, and like the last 2 years, we wanted to sit down and share with you some of the changes in our lives in the city of Merida during that time. Let's go. Today, I have a special guest, Antalita, my beautiful wife of 27 years, going on 28, and maybe we'll share our story one day with the audience about how we met and all that good stuff. But we've been together for a lifetime as it is already. But today we wanted to talk to you about our journey here in Merida, Mexico over the last 3 years, some of the changes we've seen, what's personally changed for us since we've completed and executed our MexitPlans. So today we're just going to do a little question and answer. In the last 3 years, what would you say is the biggest changes you've seen here in Merida?
Well, definitely the amount of black families that have moved down, whether it be temporarily or to scout the place out. But when we first got down here, there were very few black families with children Ashland's age, and now they are plentiful. One of the biggest things I was concerned about was Ashland having little girls that look like her here, and now she has a lot of friends, and so I think that's been a huge change for the good, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it definitely, I would say the same thing. I mean, you know, we got here, there were probably, what, 20, 25 families or households, and now there's well over 200. So, and growing every single day. So the community that we have just within the black community has been extremely exciting. And it wasn't one of the reasons we moved here, but it is a very big bonus to have. So yeah. I'm excited about that as well. Last year we talked about your health journey that you were starting, and you were training for the IronMan. You want to give everybody an update on the results of the IronMan?
Yeah, so I was training for the half Ironman. They call it the IronMan 70.3, which is a total of 70.3 miles. And it's a triathlon that has 1.2 miles of swimming, 56 miles of cycling, followed by 13.1 or half marathon run. And I just finished it. What'd you say?
Crazy. Oh.
And it's been almost 4 weeks ago. We've got back from Cozumel and I completed the race. It took me 8 hours and 1 minute. My goal was 8 hours, and so I'm happy I met that goal. And just yesterday, I got my tattoo. It's still healing.
Yeah, we'll take a picture. I'll put a picture of the tattoo on the screen so everybody can see it.
It's not ready yet.
Okay, well, we'll post it. Check out the her Instagram or the YouTube community, and we'll put a picture of the tattoo once it's all ready for unveiling. But that was a huge accomplishment and definitely one of the most inspirational things I've seen in my life. So to go from where you were sitting on the couch or not really doing any type of extreme athletic, you weren't an athlete.
I was not an athlete. Yeah, I was active, but not an athlete.
And now I'm a triathlete. You're a triathlete, straight beast mode. So to go from being not an athlete to being a triathlete, exercising for 8 hours straight, that was a huge accomplishment, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
The Merida's opened back up like it was in 2019 when we moved here, and the mask mandate was lifted back in September. What are you most excited about in the upcoming events? Because there's a ton of upcoming events from October through March. What are you excited about?
Well, this is my season. You know, Halloween is like one of my favorite holidays, definitely. And so
since Atlanta.
Yeah. And here it's different because while they celebrate Halloween a little bit, you know, for the sake of the children, they also have Dia de Muertos, the Anal, and all of these things rope into the season of decorating with pumpkins and calaveras and catrinas, and I'm so excited. This weekend we have Noche Blanca coming up. You probably talk a little bit about that. But Ashland actually has 3 Halloween events next week, and so and like I normally do, I'm gonna make her probably 3 separate costumes, so she won't be repeating. And yeah, and then we'll just, you know, continue to celebrate from there. After October, you know, you got the rest of the stuff coming up.
You got all sorts of things. So I call my wife Mom Guyver because she is the queen of putting together some stuff, whether it's making an outfit, whether it's sewing some leggings. She just made like 6 pair of leggings last week in like 10 minutes for our baby because she couldn't find what she needed at the store. So she just went and got some fabric, hooked it up. One of the things that I found interesting here in Mexico is that sewing is a big part of the culture. There's people that make all kinds of stuff. So you can find, if you're a sewer or you want to be a sewer, you can definitely find patterns and fabric and all of those types of things, because people still make clothes here. So it's pretty cool. Also, they don't throw away anything. If you get a pair of jeans with some holes in it, there's places you can actually go and get those jeans patched up, sewed up, etc. So sewing and maintaining what you got is a big part of the culture here in Mexico. So I'm excited about the Paseo de Animas. That was the event we went to in 2019 at the cemetery, the big cemetery here in Merida, where they actually did a parade of all of the souls of the Katrinas passing through the cemetery, which is really, really cool. So I'm excited to go and witness that again. There's probably gonna be thousands of folks out there, but there's gonna be that event. There's also other events downtown in Centro near Paseo de Montejo. So I'm really excited about this Hanal Pashan, because we get to really experience it in its full, celebration. Last year was a little muted because of the pandemic still, but this year we get to see all of the events. So I'm most excited about that. But right after this Hanal Pashan season is the state fair is back at Ixmiquil. Remember we went to that last year?
Yeah.
So that was the first night I think we figured out that 70 degrees in Merida is cold. Today it's around 73 to 75, and she just brought Rainbow. Rainbow is our new pet. So that's something new that we've done in the last 3 years, is from November 5th, I believe, to December 5th. And it's at Ixmiquil. And that's going to be a huge event. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people will go in that month to celebrate and just to hang out and spend family time. But we figured out 70 degrees was cold in 2019 at the state fair, when it was like 70 degrees and we had on shorts and it was freezing out there. So, that's a good indication of you've climatized as well. So,
yeah.
What's the word that you would use to describe this last year?
One word?
One word.
Training.
Yeah, that's a good word for you. Training.
Training.
Yes, you train, what, twice a day? I mean, tell them your schedule at
Pretty
the end.
much, it was mostly 7 days a week, and sometimes twice a day. I would have morning. I'll get up at 4:45 and bike ride at 5:40, like 3 days a week or 4 days a week. Get up and run at 6, 3 days a week, and then swimming 3 days a week at the pool, and then once a week in the ocean. So yeah, that was my life for a year.
So for an entire year, from August 2020 to August 2021?
The 2022. So a lot of other things made me kind of a blur between that and, dealing with things with Ashlyn and her schools and stuff.
No, last year we talked about them going back in person to the former school. And this year, we switched her in the middle of the year last year.
Yeah, switched her in January.
To a much better school. And so now, she has been in that school for a full year and got to know the kids.
That's
and
right.
Has tons of friends, so it's an adjustment, but definitely one that was a good adjustment for sure.
Yeah.
My word for last year would be home, right? So we sold our house in Georgia at the end of 2021, and we've been here for over, in this house, almost a year and a half, I guess. And the crazy thing about it is we have all of our comfort items, so this definitely feels like home. Like I said, once you get a dog, you're settled, right? Because you're starting to take on new responsibilities. So now we have a pet that we're responsible for, and this is home. We don't have a place in Georgia, so we were just there last weekend, and when we visit, it's like we're either at a hotel or at friends' houses or my mom's house, but it is, that's not home anymore. It's, we are here. So that would be my word for last year, is this feels like home. And, one of the biggest parts of that for me is just being more comfortable with the language. So I can totally move around in Spanish, and it really feels good to be able to get your message conveyed. So that's another big part of being at home, is being able to just communicate and feel comfortable. What's the biggest change you would say from last year?
Oh, definitely the fact that the city's more open now, because we were restricted for so long, and then the combination of wearing masks and places you couldn't go, things that were open, or walking into a store where they would sanitize your hands. You had to walk through a mat with gel on it, maybe, mask on. to now just kind of a little more sense of normalcy, a pre-pandemic normalcy.
It actually feels weird because
Yeah.
for so long we were in, pandemic mode where you always had to have a mask. And so now not having that and walking into a place without a mask, you kind of feel like you forgot something. So,
Yeah.
and we were probably a good 6 to 8, 9 months behind the United States where,
Right.
y'all, the folks in the States were open. And I'm like, even when I went back this time, I'm still rocking my mask in the States because I just don't trust it, right? But it feels weird to not have a mask here. And I still have them in the car. We still have them around the house. I still take one
You
in
still
my
see
backpack.
people walking around outside with
And
them
people
on.
are still using them for like public transportation, but it's not required. So hopefully we don't ever get back to the place where that is the norm is
Right.
having a mask. But psychologically, it definitely feels weird to walk around here without a mask. And then the other side is, now that we're established, now that we've been here, I've started a new business, which is the course, the Creating Your MexitPlans course, as well as just helping more folks move to Merida. So with the one-on-one coaching, the course, the tours, all those things, just starting a new business and really trying to promote that and get that going and really build up, that business. That's a new thing for us. So in addition to having a dog, we also have a little one who's been here for half of her life, which is kind of crazy to say, but she's 6 and she's been here for 3 years, right? On our 3-year anniversary. So what would you say the biggest difference that you've seen in her over the last year?
Well, definitely more Spanish. I mean, she was already speaking a little bit when we got here, but now I would say she is totally fluent. Not only bilingual, but she's also biliterate, meaning she can read in both languages, which is huge, huge. And not to mention, we talked about her not having a lot of, I guess, black friends when we first got here because she was one of the few, but now she has a lot of little black friends and a lot of Mexican friends because she went to 2 schools. And it's funny because her last birthday party is June. She had over, 20-something kids?
It was 20-something kids.
She invited everybody from both schools, and they all showed up.
Yeah. And had a ball. I mean, we had a ball. It was a great event. It was catered by my man Ernesto.
Yeah.
You guys have probably heard about Ernesto and some of the other videos from either me or other folks here in Merida, but Ernesto is the Cuban chef that caters as well. So shout out to Ernesto. And yeah, that party was wild.
We rented a house on the beach.
And it was cool. That house was excellent, and definitely I would rent it again. If nothing, just for a long weekend, because it was a really cool and comfortable spot. But, I would definitely say that having all of those people was overwhelming. Just trying to remember everybody and what school this person was from and the school of the other person. But now that we have some stability at one school, hopefully we won't have a 30-person birthday party, but they do it pretty big. They celebrate pretty big here in Mexico. And so it's really cool that she has all of those friends from different areas, and she's able to help and speak to, kids at her school that aren't maybe as functional in their Spanish. She's able to pull them along or help them out a little bit by speaking both English and Spanish to them. So that is pretty cool. What advice would you give to new parents that are considering moving here?
Well, it depends on the age range. So for anybody that's that has an elementary age child, I would definitely say to not worry as much about the language because they pick it up. They tend to pick it up much more quickly than an older child would, for example. And that is definitely the best age to move a child. If they are teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers, I mean, that's the area that we've seen parents struggle the most, right? When they move with teenagers. And that's one of the things that we cover in the Creating Your MexitPlans course is just, understanding everybody's lifestyle. There's a section where we talk about lifestyles and how to determine what you need from life in order to be able to thrive here. And parents with teenagers, that's the group where I've seen people struggle and have to move back to the States. Definitely consider, if you're moving here with a teenage child, consider all of their needs, from their social needs. School is a big part of that.
We're not discounting the fact that there are families here with teenagers, because there are some that are actually here and thriving. It's just to say you need to know your child and know what's going to work out for them. If your child is really, really social and really attached to the community that they're in and the people that they're with, you may not want to pull them away from that. If they're already introverts a little bit and they don't mind the change, then go for it. Or they might be extroverts and get out here and just meet somebody and click with them, because like you said, there are so many different communities. It's just something you definitely want to be mindful of when you have children of that age. Ashlyn, doesn't matter. Like I said, this has been her home half her life.
Half her life.
So she's good. She switches back and forth, English, Spanish, Georgia, Mexico. She knows the difference. She knows how to flip it when she needs to.
Absolutely.
And she also doesn't mind helping and teaching others. So
yeah. One of the things I would also say is that it's a lot easier for teens to move here now, because there's several groups that have started teens clubs and teens groups and regular scheduled meetups. So it's actually a little easier in year 3 than it was in year 1 or year 2 for parents that are moving with teens. So don't let us scare you by any chance. Just understand everybody's lifestyle needs as you make your Mexit plan to move to Mexico or to move to Merida.
Yeah.
What do you think this next year would be like for us?
You know what? I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be more adventurous and more enlightening, because one, we have the ability to be more open again, so we can go out and explore and travel more around the country and do other things. And for me, I'll have more free time to do other things, because like I said before, the training took up a lot of my free time. When I wasn't training, I was sleeping. So
the big change that I see for us in the next year is just really getting more established here. Probably starting another business, the Wonder Garden Academy that we talked about recently. So now that you have more free time, you can do some more things with Club Wonder Garden and actually start the Wonder Garden Academy. So I think that it will just be being more entrenched in Merida, definitely exploring more of Mexico. I think Veracruz is next, Chiapas after that, Mexico City at some point. So domestic travel here, I think we've talked about this in previous videos, but domestic travel here is pretty inexpensive, and I see us doing a lot of it in this next year.
And also more local friends, right?
Oh yeah, definitely more local friends. So that is one of the biggest changes from last year to this year. You have an entire community now with your triathletes, those IronMan folks in the club Barracuda. Shout out to Pris and Colin for having the Barracudas, but that is an extended family. You spend so much time with them. I'm now training and riding my bike with Don Luis, who is like the OG of all bicycling or of all cycling. Yeah, he is the OG. So shout out to Don Luis. But just having more friends and folks that are from here, that can really show us how things are done, as well as just being a part of the culture and celebrating with them. So I'm excited about that in this upcoming year as well. Okay. What is the biggest surprise for you since living here in the last year?
The biggest surprise? What's the biggest surprise? I don't know. More recently, I'm surprised at the amount of new babies that are being born here. Yes. A lot of new Black Mexican babies being born.
Well, that is the pandemic effect, right? So we know quite a few people that they're bringing new babies into the world. So here in Merida, so that is pretty cool. I'm really shocked about the growth of the city. So since we've been here, we've seen some major developments happen. There's Town Center. There's the new what do they call that?
The IOH Hotel down there.
The IOH Hotel. There's the Camino Real Hotel building, and what is that? City 32 is what they're calling it. There's now a new skyscraper going up in Merida. It's going to be like 37 floors. So all of this stuff is happening right around our house, and it's pretty exciting to see just the growth of what's happening here with the city. There's also going to be a tram. Not the train. You've probably heard me talk about the Mayan train, but there's going to be a tram that goes north and south throughout the city into other parts like Canacine and some other places. So this place is turning up, and it's on the map.
You know what? I'll tell you something else that was exciting and surprising. We went to our first concert at the venue, and it was a Queen cover concert, of course, because and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was packed, and it was a good time, and the arena was really nice.
It was really nice, and it wasn't expensive.
It wasn't expensive. So we're scheduled with Michael Jackson in a couple weeks.
Michael on November.
It won't be the actual MJ, Miguel Jesus, but who knows? They call it the MJ Experience, but we're gonna get another concert at that venue, and I think this time we have front row seats.
Yes,
so
we do. And
I'm
we're
excited
taking Ashlyn this time.
So Ashlyn's going to the concert with us. So I'm excited about that. What's been your least favorite thing about living in Merida over the last 3 years?
The ease of traveling back and forth is not an ease at all.
Yeah.
It's a long day. A travel day to Atlanta is a long day.
Even last week, I mean, we took the IDO to Cancun. We left on Wednesday. We flew on Thursday. We were there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and flew back on Sunday.
Yeah.
That is just a long day. That is a long trip, certainly for something that short. You know, I've talked about this in the past where we talked about mosquitoes and cilantro. So if you didn't see that video, go check out the 3 things I absolutely hate about Merida. And it was a video done in jest. But I would have to say that the construction of the Mayan train even makes that travel from Atlanta to Merida that much more longer, because you have to, you know, account for a good 45 minutes to an hour of construction traffic, right? So
if you're flying out of Cancun.
That's right. So just taking the bus to Cancun or getting to Cancun, you now have to compete with the traffic of the Mayan train, or the construction of the Mayan train, which they're single laning almost, you know, every few miles. It's single lane going to and from. So
that's why we need that direct flight to Atlanta to come back.
Yes, Delta, Air Mexico, if you're watching this video, please bring back the direct flight to Atlanta. But our normal flight path is either Atlanta, Miami, Miami to Atlanta, or I'm sorry, Merida to Miami, Miami to Atlanta, or, you know, Dallas is an option. We really don't mess with the Houston option as much on
Mexico
United.
City.
And if you're flying Delta, you're going through Mexico City on Air Mexico. So that is, those are the ways to get here. All right, so I think we've pretty much given you a real good overview. You know, I would say one of the other things that we've done, or we've added in this past year, has been a new car. So I have another car,
so
I should say.
Two.
So we have 2 cars, which is, you know, the first car is absolutely liberating. You think you can move here and take Ubers, and then that gets frustrating. The second car is almost as liberating as the first car, but just having the ability to have 1 car at the shop, or 1 car being something done to it and still have transportation is important. And I think that's just another step towards, you know, being at home, right?
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, and it's a comfort that we had in the States, honestly, believe it or not. It's just so, we were used to having 2 cars, our own individual cars.
Thank you guys for joining us for our 3-year reunion.
Thank you.
We look forward to talking to you next year on 4 years. We're here, so we live in Merida. We will be here. We look forward to helping you guys with your MexitPlans. Until next time, MexitPlans Monty and Tanita, we're out.
Bye. If I lean in,
Okay,
it's
lean
good.
in. Yeah, lean in. Okay.
And the garage door, somebody at the door. Yeah.
As soon as we get down,
you said
start
it.
recording.
You said it.
Sure. Hola.
Hola, buenas tardes, el agua pura.
Oh, no necesita. Gracias. No necesita más agua. Gracias.
Ok, gracias.
That's the door.
Buenos días.
Buenas tardes, disculpa la molestia. ¿De casualidad no tienen ropa, zapatos, cosas que no les sirva que vaya a sacar?
Un momento. You got clothes or anything for the kid?
Yeah, I do actually.
En este momento no es un buen tiempo, pero regresar en 30 minutos. 30 minutos, mi esposa tiene ropas para las niñas.
Ajá. ¿Cuánto tiempo?
En 30 minutos.
Ah, gracias.
Gracias.
Regreso.
People. I want to, yeah, Mexico. I want to shoot this video.
At least it's our dog.